Welcome consciousness, as we are along through the gates and days of Orion. Once again we come to your manifestation in the expression of what you have been hearing. We wonder if you have been listening. Once again, greetings beings, we are wrong. We come for simply to remind you that the stasis of this experience is only temporary. We're not talking about your life. We're talking about the play of your consciousness through this reality. It looks like a Richter scale going back and forth. Allow yourselves, beings, to recognize what is taking place is you are recognizing it or not. You are once again aligning with each other. This may seem absolute superciliousness. It may seem radical, yet remember consciousness. You are an amalgam frequency. You still have your animalistic tendencies. You are still driven by the primal brain, this input-output carrier that does everything for you. Please, conscience, allow yourself to recognize what is taking place is all that has gone before you is coming to the surface. You are trying so hard to hang on to your belief. We find it a fascinating word. You all want to be, and you have this that you label as leaves or singular leaf. You call it belief. Fascinating. The leaf is part of a larger, you would say, community called leaves. You are conscious and aware enough to realize that each leaf has its own essence, and yet it is connected through a common source, the tree. And you think you're the same way. It has already been mentioned, it has been discussed, that your umbilical, when you are having the birthing canal expression of your mammalian consciousness, the umbilical cord attaches. Each and every being has this cord. It is connected to a larger network, a feeding device for your form. Breathe, consciousness. Breathe. Beings, we are from a place that you are aware of. You just haven't been there in a while. Yet some of you are beginning to travel more, and some of you are feeling a bit locked out. As you traverse in your, you would call it, nightly sleep, you find yourself, many of you, nearly all of you, for a species who says they know everything, you're fascinating. You eat, sleep, you drink, and yet you're exhausted. You get your 8 hours, some of you get 10, some of you get 5, some of you get none, some of you get all. And still, you cannot fight it, whether you are absolutely in the greatest of health or the absence of, you call, health. Recognize consciousness. You are beginning to travel with intention in what you call your dream. Recognize this is not a dream, number one. Whenever you feel or are able to view yourself having this dream, that would mean that the conscious input-output carrier to your primal brain is aware that the consciousness that surrounds it is extended. Now, stay with us, beings. Your brain processes information that you call gray matter. It is electrical. What it's doing is processing vibrational fields that come through. The rest is how you interpret. Breathe your forms. We'll go back to the dream in a moment. When you are in that traveling state, some of you think you're connected with an umbilical cord or some silvery thread. How very poetic. Very simply consciousness. Energetically, if you see this expression as a flutter and a wow, as you see it as extending out, what goes on is your dynamic field vibration expands. All you need is a thimbleful to stay attached to the form. And that's exactly what happens. So as you are expanding out through this energetic pulse, your consciousness is free to be as it is. And sometimes you say, what are these dreams that I'm having of all this spontaneous, odd activity, or this person shows up for a second, and then I turn around and there's something else. Remember consciousness. Your brain is taking all this information. It's reading more information than you have cells in your embodiment. That's a very large mathematical figure. And it does it simultaneously. Why are we saying this? Because some of you are having differential relocation, meaning that you have thoughts, you think, you are processing all of this information while you are out of your form, so to speak. And these fragments you're having are not dreams. They are pulses of your brain that your consciousness is interpreting. So this is why dreams many times look misconstrued, dissonant. It is because of the interpretation. In that moment, it's disconnected. And it looks like, what do you call it? Mumbo jumbo. That was not our attempt at cosmic humor. That's your word. We have no idea what this means. It just sounds fun. So, we suggest each and every being, present or not, start keeping what you label simply, poetically, as a dream journal. We would call it your GPS map. That was our attempt at cosmic humor. Thank you. GPS map. This map will show you where you're going. You come into this realm through the gates of Orion. You leave this realm through the gates of Orion. That's not a code, not a key. It's true. So the gates of Orion, as you pass through this with your energetic pulse, this is where the energy gets not difficult, it just gets wide. And this is why when you come back in through Orion and in through your form, so to speak, you embrace the form energetically, wholly. And that is why for some of you, you do not feel rested. It's not a question of resting consciousness. It's a question of allowing yourself to integrate. Many of you, and it seems this term is being thrown around a lot, so we'll throw it around as well. Channeling. Channeling in its simplest form is integration. You are integrating energetically. Simple, to the point, that's that. So, if you are in this cycle of expansion and you are out through the gates of Orion and you are in what you label as a dream cycle, we will call it traversing the realms. What happens is you do not integrate. The next thing you know, the alarm is on or off. The next thing you're jumping and running and doing whatever your rituals or whatever it is, feeding, eating. Breathe your form's consciousness. We're bringing this to your attention because maybe why this phenomenon called channeling is becoming so large is because truly it's integration. And it's the simplest way you can get to it. Simpler would be to just stay prone in your bed. Simpler still would be to have it as part of your ritual. To integrate. And many of you might say, how do I know? I want to know what it is that I've experienced. You are a very fascinating consciousness. If you would ask us that question, we would simply say, silly human. Do you really think you're experiencing something? You are the something you are experiencing. You've just become attached to the sensorial expression of form. Now, allow yourself integration now. Some of you are becoming so constipated. Some of you are becoming so tense. Why is this happening? It is happening because you're not allowing integration. So, the simplest way for integration, just be as you find yourself, consciousness. The simplest way for integration, we would simply say, get yourself a glass of water. It is an old Atlantean trick. Get yourself a container of water. Clear glass is fine. Fill it with whatever centimeters, ounces, whatever, of liquid water. Put a clear quartz stone in the glass of water. Are we clear?
Yes.
We hear rumblings. Are we clear?
Yes.
Now, that goes at your side of your area where you sleep next to your head. No, don't put it on your head. Put it outside next to you. Don't knock it over in your dream. Leave it by the edge of your bed. Integration consciousness. When you arise in the morning, we don't care what's floating in the water. You do. Pull out what's floating or not floating. Acknowledge integration and say simply as you are just about to drink the water, I am integrating. And drink the fluid. Please do not drink the stone. We're glad you find that humorous. Many of you might say, oh, let's drink the stone. We'll integrate faster. You will integrate yourself to the emergency room. So very simply, that is the technique. And then, of course, the next question is, what will happen? What do I expect? Hopefully, you will pass the water through your machine like you do other water. Very simply consciousness. This is a technique of amplification and integration. Water at your bedside when you're ready to sleep, crystal on the bottom, clear quartz only. Want to have a truly expanded experience? Get the double terminated. 2 points either side. Not a cluster. Just 2 points either side or a single point. Put it in the water. Have your night's sleep and travel. Drink. Integration will happen. It's not something you need to understand or comprehend. You can see how far you come along with comprehension. Some of you find that funny. Fascinating. So very simply beings. And we are wrong. Integration is that simple. What then takes place is that all the intensity of being here as other humanoids are unable to contain, they say to this tool, they say, we don't drink this. You will see many entity humans defy, deny, push away integration. And you will also see these same beings disintegrate. Beings of form and awareness. We look forward to watching you pass through the gates of Orion. We were part of the movement that facilitated your reptilian brain, that allowed you to be physical without distraction. And what have you done? Gotten distracted. It's perfect. Of course you'd be distracted with all that you can do and create. And now you're at the refraction period where your distraction is refracting and pinging back upon you. No matter how far you take your technology, it will only take you to the point of integration. You must take the final step. And if it's as simple as drinking water, by the way, completely drink the water. Why drink the storm? Integration will allow you to feel comfortable going beyond the form. That's what's taking place. You all, for eons, your industrial revolution, your technological revolution, what's the next revolution? The evolution that is revolution. Love. Journey well, consciousness. We are wrong. Before we go, we want to make sure you follow, you comprehend, you, how do you say it, get it about the technique for integration. Yes?
Yes.
Good. Journey well. You